Welcome back to What Makes You Tick Best Bits. Should you hire experience or should you hire for character and attitude? Should you hire proven marketers or should you hire people who fit into the environment? When you start people, how do we create the best environment for them to be successful? What are the mistakes that people make? What are some of the things that we've learned through our lessons along the way? I've taken some of my favorite clips and turned them into Best Bits episodes. And this week is Angel Evenson. She's a startup guru, consultant to some of the most exciting startups in the world. And she helps them go from that founder-led sales motion to the professional sales management layer. And a huge part of that is sales enablement and hiring best practice. So enjoy this Best Bits episode. We'll put a link to the full episode in the show notes. Every Wednesday, we release the full episode, and every Sunday, we release the best bits. Enjoy. Let's talk one more thing on marketing, because I think I didn't even think we were going to talk about marketing today, but I love that we have, because it's so important. When you're thinking about hiring in marketing, I know a lot of founders, when they're asking us to support on marketing hires, will be like, we really want this person to have like 5 years experience. And I'm going, you're just copying and pasting from what you want your sales team to have or your product or technical team to have, you know?
Yeah.
And I came from an environment where the different context that they had around marketing, from corporate, I know we were talking about it in the green room, but to like direct consumer e-commerce, I learned so much more working on beauty and fashion and wellness product marketing than I did about corporate marketing. And I'm just wondering for you, how important is industry experience for marketers?
I love that question, because there have been many times where I have met with career marketers that I thought maybe they'd be a good fit at this smaller organization because they have such good 10 plus years experience. But the thing is, they have been so pigeonholed in what they've been able to do and what they've been able to not only accomplish, but what they've been allowed to do. They haven't been able to work on enough things to be able to transfer those skills per se to this organization, unless it's a very specific role and very specific output that needs to happen at that smaller organization, where most of the time it's not. We need it more broad. So I am such a big believer in diverse experience, because it just gives you a kind of a leg up when it comes to being creative minded as well. And in a marketing role, obviously, you have to be really creative minded all the time to try to figure out, well, what's going to work best. And you have to be able to pick up on things that are or are not working. And in a smaller organization, if you're only honing in on, I want somebody with 5 years experience, and if they worked at Apple in the marketing department, that would be amazing. I mean, great. That person is obviously successful and doing great. But does that translate specifically to what the outcomes are of this role at this organization? And how is that going to help us overall long term? And I think that's really hard to sell leaders on, though, because until they make a bad decision in that, they typically don't realize, like, crap, I maybe should have thought more broadly.
Yeah. Interesting. I think that's the stage experience side of what you talked about is really important, because if they worked in big businesses and it's been like, really structured, big marketing messaging, big tent type ideas, we run this for a whole year and we're going to do 5 events and, we're going to have an email content strategy and blah, 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 but it's really set. Whereas if someone's worked with a founder and they've been used to a founder going with a million different ideas and they've had to push back and they've had to say no, and they've seen the mistakes that happen when a business tries to do too much and doesn't work to a strategy, that's probably worth a lot more. There's probably some stage experience stuff that means that the ability for them to say no and to know like what's too advanced, you try and plug the wrong operating system into an early stage business and you end up with organ failure, because it's just not, you can't just go and plug these systems. I see it all the time in hiring people. I'm like going, well, you're this fast paced, agile company and you want to go and hire this wicked person. And you're telling me that the big benefit for them to join your business is that you're so fast paced and it's going to be so exciting. but then you've got a 7-stage interview process. You take 2 weeks to give feedback on an interview stage. I'm like, you've got like, you're more complicated than Microsoft in terms of your process. And it's the same for marketing, right? You have to be so much more agile, but your ability to say no to things, that strength of people to say no. If you're a founder building that sort of key team around you, you can't have a team of yes people. I don't think anyone wants to be a yes person, but if they go, well, the founder knows everything and we don't want to annoy them and they have to get everything right. If you don't enable them to say no, and you don't want them to push back, and you don't want them to come up with different ideas, then you're not going to create that environment at all. I'm not really sure where I was going with the question, but when I'm
Yeah.
talking about this, what comes to your mind?
Yeah, no, I think about specific clients, honestly, that I've had those issues with, and they had to learn through making that bad choice and then realizing, crap, it didn't, 1, it didn't fit the culture, and 2, we didn't get any closer to our goals. And I thought like it touted so much that they did this and they accomplished this in the past, but really it didn't translate because just like what you said, if they're not used to a leader that's going, holy shit, let's do this. No, let's do this. And they're used to being like, okay, okay, yep, I'll get right on it. Yep. And they're not doing the opposite of going, hold on, does that actually align with what we agreed to in our strategy last week? And then the founder sits there and goes, no, it doesn't. You're right. Let's table that.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean,
and
that's what
that's
needs to
quick.
happen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I got a hiring hack for the audience
Yeah.
listeners,
Do it.
which is everyone indexes on experience, right? Like we talked about, hire the marketer from Apple because Apple's such a cool brand. We can inject some Apple magic into our business. So we spend all of our time going, what projects did you work on? What did you achieve? What were your results? Talk to me about what role you played. It's all about past achievements, accolades, and experience. But with a good marketer, if you say, here's where we're trying to go, here's what we've been doing up until now, here's how we're thinking about it, an experienced marketer would say, why are you doing it that way? And they would ask you a series of very intelligent questions based on experience and wisdom that would make you rethink it. And I think that so many businesses design this process where it's like, we just index on experience and then we just maybe give you a marketing task, but we don't create a situation within the process where we say, right, here's where we're trying to go. And talk to me about the impact you think we can make. Tell me about where our thinking might be wrong. Tell me about what questions you've got for me to see if our thinking's right. By the way, total permission here to call out blind spots. Tell me if I'm wrong. The right people in that environment show you where their true value will be, which
Exactly.
is helping you to refine your ideas and to create the impact. I call these people multipliers, and it's these people who help everyone around them to achieve more, which is never, I am an individual person who is truly excellent. It's, I am able to, through great questioning, through great discovery, through great teamwork and leadership and strategy and execution, bring all these things together so we together can achieve an amazing result.
Yes.
I think that's a super simple fix that everyone can bring into their process. And by the way, recruitment will be so much more fun if you make it a collaborative experience rather than just a thing for someone to go and pass.
Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing. Sales. Let's talk about sales.
Ooh, let's do
So
it.
what's the challenge or the most common challenges that you see businesses at this stage making from a sales perspective?
Yeah, I mean, just bringing in salespeople before they're ready, and that's not revenue-wise. I mean, usually they have the revenue, they can pay them easily. It's they haven't put enough thought into how they're going to support them, how they're going to onboard them, how they're gonna make sure that they can really take it over so that the founder isn't leading the sales. That's the main problem. And the thing is, like you and I have talked about, founders are so tightly knit to the brand. They care a lot about the brand. They also care a lot about the customer experience, and taking yourself out of that seat all of a sudden taking yourself out of that seat after you built this with your blood, sweat, and tears is one of the hardest things to do, especially if you lean a little bit toward the controlling side. So it becomes really difficult to then say, okay, I know I'm burned out. I have limited capacity, but I need to bring someone in. And you usually make that founder decision where it's like, I need to hire somebody, so I'm going to hire somebody.
Yeah.
Hire somebody and bring them in. And you get someone in seat and you're like, oh shit, come on some calls with me. Just follow me along and take notes and ask questions. And that's usually how it goes. And then it's like, okay, well, how are they actually set up for success? And what is their long-term goal within the organization? Have you outlined that and shown them what they need to do to get there? Because salespeople are incentivized by stuff like that. And so that, I mean, in a nutshell, is the main problem.
I mean, you mentioned onboarding. I wonder how many people listening to it at this stage would actually say we do have a structured onboarding plan that isn't just, we give you a bunch of collateral and you spend a bunch of time shadowing people. It's just, how often when you're going into that early stage, have they got an onboarding plan?
Well, it's funny because some of them actually have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder saying, we have a good onboarding. We have really good onboarding. They spend half a day with so and so. They spend half a day with so and so. They do online training for this. They have access to this platform. They come with me on calls. Like, this is usually the process. And that's not to say that that's horrible. Maybe that could be, rolled into an actual onboarding program, but that's not onboarding. Like, onboarding is really all encompassing, and it needs to be structured, and it needs to be clear to them how they're going to be supported and what's available for them to succeed in their role. And a lot of the time, the biggest thing that's missing is what's available to them to help them succeed in their role as a salesperson. And no founder usually puts that into play because they're the founder. It's all in their head. They know how to do it. They know what's supposed to happen. They know what the sales process looks like. And so they think that the value of onboarding is with them and they can just regurgitate this information to them instead of them bringing them into this structured process and this system. And that really just hurts the sales reps.
Scott at least talks about that a lot around this. It's the boring bit, which is to write all this stuff down, like document everything, because someone's going to need to do that one day. And the founder's probably iterating all the time on what works, and they've got their talk track and they've got all the credibility and all the passion. So people listen to them. So when they do get into conversations, they often would convert them, but hiring a salesperson won't have that same connection to your business and the same credibility. So they're not going to get that stuff right. It won't translate. It's impossible, right?
Yeah, definitely. One of the best things that I did in my business about 5 years ago was I hired somebody to literally just listen to me and document.
Okay.
And I was like, I need to do this. I know I'm not going to do it myself, but I'm going to hire you to sit here and document this for me so that you can also provide feedback on like some shifts, because she was very strategic and very smart. And it was the best thing that I'd ever done, because I remember when I brought in an intern, right? Like not long after that. And I was like, okay, she's ready to go. She's perfect. I'm going to bring her in. I brought her in and I was like, oh, here you go. It was amazing. It was like the best feeling ever. And she was like, what? This is incredible. And it was only me in seat. And so she just expected it to be, a shit show and was like, okay, I'm on board. Let's do this. But it was all laid out for her. And the questioning was less too, because she knew how to get something done. But then she could come to me and be like, can you QA this? And I would be able to do that. And I'm like, this is so much better than sitting here going, do it like this. This is how you figure it out. Let me walk you through this. It was amazing.
I love
So I
that.
speak from experience too.
Yeah, no, that's a brilliant idea. And that's like before ChatGPT, right? So you literally
Yeah.
had someone documenting it. A lot of people were just trying to like get ChatGPT to do that. You probably can get AI to do that, but to have a human being go, I need to turn this into something that's really usable for someone else, I think is fascinating. I think, like what it's like when you start in a new sales role and you are shadowing people. or you're waiting like to get ready to go live, you spend a lot of time twiddling thumbs, and you don't have anything. There's like nothing you can go and learn. So you just immediately create this incredibly slow momentum in people. If they've just spent a week just shadowing people all week, and then probably been asked a couple of really bad questions at the end of each shadowing session, probably not being asked to go and write a reflection at the end of the day or go and turn that into an actionable thing that they can go and use the next day. I guess what you're probably doing is you're creating a bunch of people who are traveling at about 1 mile an hour, that when you then get them to go live into the market, it'll be really hard for them to go and pick up the momentum and get up to speed, right?
Yeah, and by that point, they're very disheartened because
You
salespeople, like we've talked about before, they're just so hard driven to succeed and to achieve right away. And when you're onboarding them slowly, they're like, what the heck? What
Yeah,
is happening
exactly.
here? I want to like do something. Give me something to do. And
Yeah,
so when you're onboarding them that way, they're already kind of deflated and like, well, what's my value here? I
yeah.
know where my value is, but right here, it doesn't feel like it. And so I purposely have designed onboarding and training programs in smaller organizations to really reward the type of salesperson I was when I was 20. Because it's like I wanted to achieve. I wanted little wins here and there. I wanted, even if I was able to send an email by the end of the first week and have some success there, that was like everything. And it has worked within so many organizations that I've done because these salespeople come in and they're like, oh, I'm actually doing the job. I'm not just checking boxes saying I'm onboarded. And because you don't want that. In a smaller organization, onboarding is not box checking. It needs to be something that is engaging and motivating for them to actually achieve what they're aiming to achieve.
Thank you for listening and watching this Best Bits short. If you like this, tune in next Sunday for our next special part of our favorite episodes. And if you love the main podcast, every Thursday we introduce you to a new virtual mentor so you can hear their career story and answers to the biggest questions in tech. See you on the next episode.